Welcome to Soltron. This is the second half of the Godly Beast or Celestial Warriors Season 6 Transformers or Chinese Transformers. All right, I'm going to start with my favorite of the six. So the Green Dragon. He just looks really tremendous. I think this is a great alt mode. It's probably one of the best Chinese dragons I've seen. So I'd definitely give this guy like a 9 for the way he looks. And then for articulation, he has about all the articulation you'd expect. So lots of joints in the neck here. He cannot turn side to side though, and he does have like some joints in these little legs, which don't really do very much. And then his tail doesn't really do much. It can't really fold down further than this. You can kind of extend his robot legs, I guess. You can work around that. But yeah, that's basically it for his articulation. And he's got like these skirts. I don't know. I think that's supposed to be like his belly technically. All right, so these combiner pieces can actually be removed. They are on these little clips, so you could just put those aside. But what I really like about this set is that you can actually keep the combiner pieces on, and the figures can fully transform into all three modes with the combiner pieces on. So that's actually some parts forming you don't have to do. So that's very nice. But you're going to fold up his, like, I don't know, his celestial ring there. And then you can fold down the dragon head and double joint out the robot head. And I think this robot head looks pretty cool. It's very simple. It looks kind of like a cicada or something. It's pretty plain looking. And then you can take his shoulder pads back here, and these are kind of a hassle. They have a lot of joints to them, but you kind of double joint them into place and then fold them up. And then his arm, you're going to rotate the fist out and then fold this claw up to the side, and that's his arm pretty much done. And then you have a hip skirt here, and then you can just separate the legs, and that will free up his beam rifle. And then you get his heel spur out, fold in the dragon leg into itself, and that's basically his body all articulated. And then you just get this, there we go, into the chest position, and then do the same thing to the other half. All right, and then we get his beam rifle into his hand here. That's going to peg into, it's got a slot system. So that just basically, actually pretty hard to get in, and then his fingers will fold around it. I definitely have to do that off camera. But then basically he holds his beam rifle. He can't fold his arm up because this post gets in the way, so the hilt of the sword in combine mode. And then for articulation, he cannot turn his head. It can look up and down, but you're not getting any side rotation. He does have 360 on the shoulder, so that's going to go all the way around on a soft ratchet. And then he's got full outward on a hard ratchet, double joint elbow to get more than 90 degrees, and then he's got wrist articulation, and his fingers are articulated. And then his hip skirt's got all the articulation you can need to get it out of the way. He's got full side kick, full forward, full backwards. This giant foot on his back is going to get in the way unless you detached it. And then he does have ankle rock a little bit. It's kind of counts. And then this for articulation or for transformation, and then he's got a double jointed knee, so you can get some really good poses out of this guy. Oh yeah, and he does have waist swivel. You kind of have to just move this out of the way. You can extend this so that his waist won't bump into it. And then he does not have thigh swivel, though it looks like he should. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. All right, here we have a good look at his robot mode. So he's got like oddly good articulation, but oddly bad articulation. Like he doesn't have bicep swivels or head swivel. So his articulation is actually a little bit limited, even though it's really great in the leg section. But yeah, I think the robot overall, he just seamlessly uses all the dragon pieces. I would give him a 10 out of 10. He looks just really awesome. Really awesome, just great robot design. Big fan of it. Okay, let's go on to my number 2 favorite figure. So this is the core of the combiner, of course. I think this is a Kirin, like a fantastic beast. That's kind of like a unicorn kind of animal, but he kind of looks like a food dog. He's very broad, so unfortunately his beast mode has some real problems, and I think his back looks fine, but yeah, I think this is a Kirin. I can't tell. They have like little symbols down here, and this tape is like protected. I haven't peeled it off yet, but yeah, it looks like a Kirin to me. He should have a tail, but no tail on this guy. I really like these weird texture on here, and man, this color scheme on this guy is just really bizarre, right? I'm really into like the yellow orange combination. It's very crazy looking. All right, this guy might also be a golden dragon, which is considered the fifth of the divine beasts, um, or the yeah, I guess divine beasts in Feng Shui. He's like the central beast, and the other ones represent the four cardinal directions. But I don't think he is a dragon because he has hooves. But I don't know. He is kind of gold, so maybe he is the dragon figure. Oh yeah, so for articulation, he does have a neck cut here, so he can actually turn his head to the side, so that's very nice. I like that inclusion. And then he's got like these kinds of joints on his legs, so he's got pretty well articulated legs. They can do everything you need them to do. Same for the back legs. They can also kick forward and backwards. So really good articulation for his beast mode. Overall, I think this beast mode really takes a hit for me because of how wide his shoulders are. If these could like compress down, he would be pretty good. So I'm saying maybe like a I kind of like it though. I think like a 7, even though he's, you know what, an 8. I like it, even though his shoulders are terrible. Anyway, to get him into robot mode, you're going to unpeg the feet here, which is pegged in here, and this slot here, and then you can rotate these little feet, these little legs out of the way, so those collapse nicely into their own hindquarters. And then you're going to get left with these gangly legs that you can compress, and then you just fold out the feet. Same for the other leg, and then you've got most of a robot already. And then you're going to fold down his chest armor, and then you can see there's an extension joint right here, so you're just going to collapse him down, and then you can fold out his fists, which can be very difficult. I'm probably going to have to use a tool. I can't really grip these with my nails. Okay, nope. Yeah, these are pretty tough to get out. Oh, I got one. Right, and then he's going to have these like laser swords on his forearms, and then you're going to rotate his Kirin legs up and then double joint them. Why doesn't that look right? Oh yeah, so this one doesn't collapse as nicely as his back legs. All right, he's about done, so now you're going to turn the Kirin head around, or dragon head, and then just basically get that wherever feels nice for you. Maybe like this and this. Yeah, there we go. So you can have this flaming halo. All right, this guy's the biggest of all the robots, and he's the heaviest, which is unfortunate because he's the chest of the combiner, or the torso. So it's not really where you want all the weight distributed. You kind of want it in the feet. But yeah, he looks really good. He does not have head articulation, which is common for these guys. He does have some outward on this arm, but it's going to get blocked by this. He's got like one little outward click. And he does have 90 on the elbow. He does have bicep swivel. And then he's got transformation wrist, which doesn't really count. He's got mostly forward kick. You have to rotate his thighs to get that. And then he does have, oh, interesting. He's got like a limited outward, which is probably good So in the combined mode, his legs don't just spread and he collapses. So that's actually good that they limit his outward kick. It's not that important to me. And he's got full backward kick. Oh, I want to rotate these down, get these looking more clean. And then he's got double jointed knees. And then he's got a waist swivel as well, which is on a hard ratchet or soft ratchet. All right, let's get his 360. And man, this is just such a cool looking robot. He's a real powerhouse. Fold that down too. Yeah, I really like this crazy color scheme. I don't know, it's just something about it really catches my eye. I really like this turquoise on the thigh. It reminds me of Oni Taijin, the Inu brother. I don't know why they did that, but it's cool that it's there. He's just a mess, and I like it. I like it a lot. I'd give this robot a 9. He's cool. All right, let's look at his head before we put this guy away. All right, next. Okay, here's Tiger. He's got all the articulation you'd expect. So he's got forward kicking legs. He's got 360 on the shoulder. This shoulder's really bad. I don't know what this shoulder's problem is, because this one ratchets nicely and the other one just squeaks and makes a lot of noise. And then this clip doesn't really hold very well. It's very, like, his robot feet get in the way and make this not want to fit on. And it's kind of a important part of his body because it forms his tail. And then his back legs, you get like this little knee and then these paw articulation, which sort of counts, and then this sort of counts. And then you can see his back half is kind of a mess here. All right, so here we get a 360 view of this guy. I think despite all his mess back here, like his hindquarters is where things just really fall apart. You can see clearly like a robot legs folded up here. His front half looks pretty good. I would say this Tiger mode is kind of a 7. It's pretty average-ish looking. It's definitely not the best Tiger I've seen. He especially looks like a polar bear. And then I forgot to mention he's got opening jaw and then head articulation. I do like how his little celestial crest goes around his neck like a collar. This guy was my second favorite robot, but he actually broke while I was transforming him. This mushroom peg broke because I was trying to pull this foot off. Like the dragon, this whole assembly can actually be removed, so you don't have to deal with it, but don't pull on it here because this mushroom peg will just break in half. So that's really annoying. So this guy irritated me, so now he's demoted to number 2. But anyway, you just fold his arms down. His chest is going to come down. You do your best to grip this, and then you can pull the head out of here and then fold that back down. And then you're just going to obviously unpeg his legs from each other, straighten it out. Straighten out his tiger foot and just fold that on itself, rotate that down. So very similar to the dragon. And you do that for the other side. And then you're going to open his forearm, and that's where his fist is hidden. And then you can rotate the tiger claw back, rotate his fist out, and then just twirl that around, and then he's ready. All right, and then he comes with this stringed instrument, which is pretty cool. And he can, like, thankfully his wrist can rotate, and he's got a slot system in there. So you just slot the neck onto that, and you can close his fingers a little bit. And then his other hand, I really enjoy that can open up, and it can actually look like he's strumming it. So that's pretty cool. I really like that implementation. Or you can swap it around. And if you rotate it this way, it looks like he's got kind of an axe weapon because he's got this energy blade right here. So really nice use of this weapon. I like how this becomes the tiger tail too. Really pretty cool. He does not have head articulation either. You can hear he's got this terrible shoulder. I don't know what's wrong with it. I took it apart and looked at it. It looked the same. So, and then he's got this very nicely ratcheting shoulder. Bicep swivel. He does have double jointed elbows, so he can get a little bit more than 90 degree, but he's kind of blocky. He does have opening fists and rotating fists. And then he does have a waist swivel, and then full outward kick, full forward kick, full backward kick, This guy does not seem to have thigh swivel either, even though it does look like there's separation there. And then he's got double jointed knee, folds all the way up. And then he's got a little bit of that ankle tilt. I don't know if you can really count that. All right, let's take a look at his robot mode. He's a little bit back heavy with this giant foot sticking out of his back, but I really like this crest up here. So yeah, I'm really a fan of this robot mode. I think he cleans up pretty nicely. I would give him a 9. And then that's also because he's got such a cool little gimmick. It'd be nice if he had head articulation, but overall, pretty great looking tiger robot, I have to say. He does have like one little mysterious thing is his instrument has these 2 little holes in it. I don't know what that's used for, what the point of that is. All right, let's get a close-up of that head sculpt. Yeah, that's a great looking head sculpt too. Big fan of this guy. And another mystery, like the dragon has a little clip under his giant combiner foot. I don't know what that's for. And the tiger does not, so I don't know what the point of that is. Okay, let's move on to this guy. I consider this to be the actual Kirin because it has his unicorn horn. He's got hooves, very horse looking. Pretty awesome looking robot. He has like his front leg articulation. He's got some back leg articulation so he can do some back kicks. And then he's got kind of a break in the middle of his body there. And then he can kind of lower his head, but that's more for transformation. So his articulation, very limited. All right, and let's get a 360 of this guy. I really love like these crossbow wings. Like that's such a cool look, and I really love his unicorn horn. This little crest is actually supposed to fold down, but I think he mostly looks okay. He's kind of generic. I don't know. I'd say this alt mode is kind of a 6. I just like these mostly is the big part about it that I find really appealing. He is a little small for other figures to ride him, but it kind of works. I'm not mad at it. This kind of works. This kind of elevates him, makes me like him a little bit better. All right, anyway, to transform this guy to robot mode, we're just going to go ahead and close these. These are also a mystery. In the instructions, they're not used, but I use them to peg on the wings for the combine mode. And then you kind of just fold this up. You're going to fold up the horse hoof here, and then you're going to fold out the robot fist. If you can get a grip on it, there you go. And then you just fold the horse head back, and you're going to split his horn. You gotta be careful with that because it's actually got 2 layers. And then you're gonna fold that up, and then you fold the neck out of the way to get the robot head out, and then you're just gonna fold it right back to where it just was. And then you're just gonna straighten out the legs here. Oh, just take this out of the back skirt. And then you're just gonna close these little leg caps. And then these don't really do anything. I don't know why this even opens. Maybe this was supposed to be for combine mode and I just didn't use it. It's not in the directions. This joint doesn't serve any purpose in the directions. But anyway, that's him pretty much transformed. All right, and then he does come with this very nice spear weapon. This slot is the only one that slots into his hand, even though the opposite side is filled with slots. These are slightly too narrow. So that's really irritating. I don't know why you would design something that way so it can only slot in one place. So he has to hold his spear pretty much right in the middle. I like that he can kind of get it on his shoulder. His articulation is really going to hurt him, so no head articulation, of course. And let's get a look at his crest up here. It's a little bit ridiculous for this guy. He's got these cool shoulder armors that can articulate out one click. And then these do rotate, but they sound and feel pretty horrible. Yeah, I don't know. It's the same thing that was wrong with the tiger arm. And then he does have like a 90-degree bend in the elbow. He does have bicep swivel on a ratchet. He does have like this rotating wrist a little bit or pivoting. He does have full outward kick, full forward, This back skirt's can get in the way, but you can kind of lift that up so you can get most of the back kick. And then he does have more than 90 degrees on the knee like the rest of the guy, the rest of the robots. I kind of like this leg assembly. It looks pretty, I don't know, Xenogears. But yeah, unfortunately his articulation just really doesn't let him wield this in any kind of good way. He can get like one click out of this arm, but then it's going to run into this. Actually, maybe if that doesn't help very much. So yeah, his articulation is very limited. Oh yeah, and he's got waist swivel. All right, and here he is, the 360 view. I don't know what to say about this guy. He reminds me of all those Chinese robots that you see that turn into cars or whatever. He's just like your generic red Chinese robot with a spear. He doesn't look special or interesting. The only thing that are interesting are these giant shields on his arms and then this cool flaming crest up here. But otherwise, this is just such a throwaway kind of robot. He's definitely middle of the pack. He's a 5. He's very generic. Let's get a close-up of that head. Yeah, it's just kind of all melted in there. You can't even really tell the details. And then you can get a close-up of his chest crest. It looks like a Kirin to me. I don't know. Or a goat, maybe. All right, let's go to Genbu, number 5, my 5th favorite. So he's got a little bit of outward motion here. This can kind of rotate. It's kind of pointless. And then he's got like his fist can flip up and his head can go up and down. No articulation back here. This isn't going to really do anything for you. And then his robot feet are just sticking out here. Can look at his alt mode head. That's pretty cool. And then his crest, of course. I would have liked if he had his snake tail coming out back here, but they never seem to do that. Yeah, here's his alt mode. It's okay. It's a big block. It's clearly a robot just laying down underneath this parts forming shell. Yeah, he's kind of like a 4, just generic. I do like the head sculpt and the front legs are kind of cool, but yeah, he's not great. He doesn't come together very well. This guy does have like a lot of kind of parts forming because of his weapon. So he's got this umbrella piece, and then this usually stays in place, which is what you want. And then the shaft of his umbrella is under this, so you got to open this piece up, and then you can get this out, and then you just peg that into his, I guess it's a spear shield, I don't know, umbrella. And then the combiner mode arms are clipped in to his shoulder armor, so you got to get those out of the way. I guess you could transform him without taking these out. And then you're going to fold down his chest. You have to do your best to grip his robot head in here. Okay, I'm gonna have to use something to get that. And then you gotta like fold this turtle head back and inside here and down and out of the way, and then fold this back down, and then fold up his like divine crests. And then you're just gonna fold his arm down and fold his shoulder armor, and then rotate that to the side position. And then his fist is, you're going to fold up the tortoise leg and then fold out his fist here. And then his legs you're just going to pull out, and there he is, pretty much transformed. All right, and he can store the combiner fist. You're just going to peg this into this little hole on his shoulder armor right there. So he does have kind of like these extra fists next to his tiny fists. So that's kind of cool. And you just give him both fists. And then you're going to give him his little umbrella weapon. That's got the same kind of slot system as all the other robots. It's very hard to slot this into his fist though. He does have all these slots. This bottom one doesn't fit. It only fits like in this one, which is very deceptive. So that's kind of annoying. It'd be nice if the very bottom one would fit so we could get a little bit more clearance. Yeah, this guy hates to hold his umbrella. But anyway, you close the fingers around it. And after you get it in, it's pretty good. It's just getting it in is a hassle. And he can only really hold it like a shield. Okay, it just fell out. He can only really hold it like this or above his head if it's raining because of his articulation. You're not, and because the shaft of this is so limited, you just can't get it very far from his body. It's never going to look like he's actually fighting with it. It's going to look like he's just defending himself or using it as an umbrella. He does not have head articulation. He does have 360 on the shoulders. He does have these flaps can move anywhere you want. They rotate all the way around. And then he does have mostly full outward on the shoulder. And then he's got 90-degree on the elbow. And then he does have a bicep swivel. And then he does have articulating fingers. And then mostly full outward kick, almost all the way. Barely any forward kick. Very full backwards kick. That's really weird. And then no thigh swivel, even though it's a separate piece. And then he does have double jointed knees like all the other guys. And then he does have ankle tilt. All right, and then here's his 360. I appreciate the creative umbrella weapon. I don't like the implementation. He never looks cool holding it. It just always looks like he's using it as an umbrella. It does not look like a weapon at all. That's really too bad. And then his body, again, gives that generic Chinese blocky robot vibe. He's kind of a 5. This guy's pretty much a miss for me. All right, pretty cool head sculpt and good chest crest. That shows 2-headed Genbu, even though he's only got 1. Oh yeah, and he's got waist articulation, not that it helps him. All right, and then finally Suzaku, our vermilion bird, can move its head up and down. It's got like wings that the feathers of the wings can kind of fold down. The wings also articulate and can also fold back. And then this kind of shoulder joints can move around, but you kind of need it to be in this position because this is where the most friction is. And he's got like this tail skirt, this tail feather. I don't know what's happening with this robot. You get rotating thighs here. You can joint the legs the other way you want. If you want, you can rotate these. These can also turn this way. I don't know which one of these looks more bird-like. If it has regular knees, I think having the opposite knees, but maybe that's because like it's swooping down to catch something. I don't know. These feathers kind of just rotate around. I don't know. It's got some cool design elements. I just don't like what is the point of all this? It's the back skirt is just pointless and doesn't help it. I don't know. This is like full scale generic Chinese robot now. And then it gets worse when we get to robot mode. Yeah, this does nothing. Okay, so Vermilion Bird gets like a 5 for me. Anyway, you fold up the legs. And then it does have like this extending joint, which helps you rotate the waist around so that it can, and then you got to make sure the skirts are out of the way. All right, there we go. And now you're in like the robot orientation, and these are the robot feet. And then these feathers kind of like flip up, I guess. I like to leave this extended because she's very lanky, and I think it makes her torso look more in proportion. And then you just rotate the arms down and around. These will become her shoulder pads. And then you just basically rotate her face around. And then you just get all this junk out of the way the best you can. This rotates around. I don't know, I guess. I don't know. What even does this do? Oh, and then you got to fold up this little thing because that makes all the difference. And then here she is. Close that up. Yeah, I don't... She's also got like a little mystery piece. She's got these pegs, which don't peg in any mode, but I'm pretty sure they go to this. Like, but she can't ever like really reach this. I don't know what is this for? Maybe it's for bird mode, but then her arms are just here. I don't know why this pegs in. Or maybe these are her weapons. You just yank these off of these precarious ball joints and just peg these in. Let me try that out. Yeah, no, they don't really peg in here, even though they're clearly meant to, but the fist gets in the way. What? I don't understand what these are for. They don't serve any purpose in transformation. They don't serve any purpose. They don't make the bird look any better. They're just pointless. Anyway, she's got rotating head. She's got a lot of joints in her arm. This is a real problem because this is on like a ring in the middle of her bicep. And it's really hard to get this where it needs to be because this is just very floppy. And then it makes these shoulders should have been on her actual shoulders instead of her biceps, because now it just makes her really difficult to get into any kind of pose. She does have bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and as you saw earlier, she's got a waist swivel under here. This is her proportions, and then if you collapse her, I think that makes her look a little stumpy because her arms are so gigantic and long. I think she needs to have a long torso. I don't know, actually, maybe that doesn't look too bad. It just makes her look like she has really long legs. Okay, I'm not too bad with that. And then anyway, she's got, I'm not sure if that's supposed to rotate or not. She's got full outward kick, full forward kick, full backward kick. This skirt gets in the way a little bit. She's got double jointed knees, and then knees that joint like the other direction. I don't know why. It's hard to tell. And then she's got rotating ankles that rotate all the way around and pivot. She's actually got, looks like dedicated pivots. All right, and here's her 360. Yeah, she's, this is like the epitome of generic Chinese robot. It's got a bunch of kibble just hanging out. Nothing's integrated very well. It's got giant pieces, spindly proportions. It looks pretty shabby. I'd say this one's like a 4. It's like the worst of the bunch easily in my book. Okay, and her head sculpt does not make it any better. There's just nothing going on here. There's nothing. It's very generic. And her chest crest. Here's what the bird mode looks like in the directions. Is this better than what I did? I don't personally think so. All right, here's our team shot. Let's get a transformer in there so you can see how giant these guys are. They're like old school leader class. This guy is. So they're like really giant robots. All right, so here's the group shot mostly. I think the strong members really make up for the weak members. I don't know what the point of this guy is, honestly. He's even got a different colored crest, so he's definitely an extra character that's supposed to supercharge the combined mode, but he really does not do very much. But I like the original core figures. Pink gets a pass because she becomes the arm at least, so she's not just the wings in the combined form. But yeah, I really enjoyed this set. If you want to get yourself one, definitely go to Sir Toys. It's well worth the price. It's really fun. The fun factor is just off the charts. I really like that they have 3 modes. The combined mode's a little iffy, but it's a nice little extra thing you can do with them. Anyway, see you in the next one.